What's good, everybody? It's Don the Tap King. Today I have for you Hakbal, aka Merfolk Tribal. Let's get it.
Tap Kings, baby.
Out the box, pre-con. It's a solid deck. Oko's the touchy uncle.
What do you mean by that?
He's removal, he's control, like he's a really good card. He's a monster, 3 for 4 out the gate, loyalty, so he is definitely a monster. Great card, utility otherwise. Creature cards, pretty straightforward. This is a creature deck. You're trying to win with creature damage. Basically put 1/1 counters on your Merfolks, make them unblockable when you just touch face, right? So I have 2 other win conditions in here, alternative win conditions, but basically that is the goal. Pump up your Merfolks and just smack people with fishes, you know? So this one is pretty good. Whenever you draw a second card each turn, create a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying. That's gonna almost trigger every turn once this and Hakbal are on the battlefield. Paradise, Kodai, this is a monster, especially once it has a lot of 1/1 counters on it. You're gonna be drawing a lot of cards. Crater Hoof, this is the deck for it, right? Creatures, I'm running 38 creatures. Yes, this is definitely a staple in this deck. Deep Root is good. This card is good as well. If you get a couple Merfolks in the yard, you want to bring them back. This gives you the ability to do so. If you don't want to use this card, alternative for lower CMC will be 6. You can use 6. Basically operates the same as a green card. I think it's 2 and 1 green. And then you just got to discard a land card, and then you're able to play spells from the yard back onto the battlefield. So most of these are staples. Fog Crawler, aka Vigor. I had to use the Fallout version, so I'm definitely hitting hard on the 1/1 counters and protecting my creatures. This card right here does both. This is great. Turning people lands into islands, produce blue. Multicolored decks is gonna slow them down heavily, and then we also have a lot of protection for this card, being that it's Merfolk. So this is definitely a great addition to the deck. This card is a monster. It comes in a pre-con. Creatures you control with 1/1 counters can be blocked. Done. Just touch your face all day. This is a new edition that came out, I think it's Foundation. Career enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. Love it, right? Threshold is really good. It does happen more often than you would think. Marcus, another Fallout card. Marcus, Mutant Mayor. Vigilance Trample, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card if that creature had +1/+1 counter on it. If it doesn't, put a 1/1 counter on it. Draw, right? Card advantage, that's what we want, right? And one of our win conditions is going to rely on the amount of cards we have in our hand. The other win condition will rely on how many counters we have, so we'll get into that in a second. I like this card. Anything that taps creatures or phases creatures out in this deck is good. This guy right here with Hakbal is crazy. So whenever a creature you control explores a land card, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tap. This, when it's on the battlefield, it just so much. You can draw up to like 2 cards based off this, depending on the setup of the board state, your board state. Play the land, draw another card. Your commander attacks, draw another card. You know what I mean? Like, it has a lot of synergy. Tada Adele Acquisitor. This one is an old school card. It was in one of my boxes. Island Walk is great. It's gonna, when it touches face, you get to play an artifact card from that player's library. This card. All right, one of my favorite cards. I try to use it in all blue decks. What does it do? Flash, significant. When Tishana's Hidebinder enters the battlefield, counter up to 1 target activated or trigger ability. If an ability of an artifact, creature, or planeswalker is countered this way, that permanent loses all abilities for as long as this card stays on the battlefield. Very strong. Someone's trying to combo all, but that's an Oracle combo. Cool. Flashes in. There we go. 20-toed Toad. Maximum hand size is 20. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, put a 1/1 counter on 20-toed Toad and draw a card. Whenever 20-toed Toad attacks, you may win the game if there are 20 or more counters on it, or you have 20 or more cards in hand. So this is actually 2 win conditions by itself, right? If I get 20 cards in my hand, which is very easy to do with all the draw mechanics and synergies that we have in the deck, and then also the 1/1 counters, especially if Vigor's on the battlefield, getting to 20 counters is not hard at all. Only 1 sorcery when I go too deep into this. Return each creature with a 1/1 counter on it to its owner's hands. A pseudo board wipe, it doesn't affect you as much. You might return a mana dart, which is fine. Counter spell, straightforward, right? That's the OG. Cyclonic Rift, cool, you know, staple in any blue deck, really. Essence Scatter. Essence Scatter I like a lot. People never use this card in a casual high power format. I get to use it. Counter target creature spell. I see this this counter spell as a creature removal. Where's the other? Oh, Psychic Barrier. Target counter target creature spell. It controls this 1 life. The 1 life at the end is just a little kick on the bottom. But these 2, I really enjoy these 2 counter creature spells. Awesome. There's a couple other ones that I was gonna add, but I didn't want to make a control deck. I just wanted to focus on the creatures with some support. So those are obviously some support cards. Flare of Denial, easy to do. Most of your creatures are blue, not a problem. And you can also bring creatures back from the yard. So worst case scenario, sack your commander, right? Bring it back next turn. You don't necessarily need it to attack for it to trigger all the explore triggers on your Merfolk creatures. Hydroblast, I would say this is a staple in most blue decks. 1 mana, destroy a red target, or counter a red target spell. Inspiring Call. Draw a card for each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it. Those creatures gain indestructible until the end of turn. Great, right? 1/1 counters and protection. For 3 mana, I'll pay it all day. Mutational Advantage, another Fallout card. One thing about making like more casual and like high power decks, you get to have, there's a little bit more versatility in regards to what you could choose from. This deck I'm using, shoot the shit with my people, play some games, tap, swing, talk some shit, you know, like just having fun. You can do that in competitive too, but I think that's just competitive and EDH is just 2 separate formats, right? We're fooling ourselves that we think it otherwise, although they do share the same ban list, right? This is a great card, you know, a lot of flavor. Fallout, I'm a big, huge Fallout fan. Permanents you control with counters on them gain hexproof and indestructible until the end of turn. Prevent all damage that will be dealt to those permanents this turn. Proliferate. Literally everything we're doing with this deck is encompassed, like it's underneath the umbrella of mutational advantage. Like it's crazy. I love Fallout 7. Fallout 7 is crazy. Negate, straightforward, counter non-creature spell. I normally, when I play high power or casual, I don't normally use cards that I would use in the competitive format. If I wanted to use those cards, I'll just play competitively. Could I add Mox Diamond? Could I add Force of Will? Things of those things? Absolutely, I have them, right? But if you're playing casually, play casually. If you're playing high power, cool. Same, you know, bump it up a little bit. You know, add the additional cards to make it a little bit more impressive. If you're playing competitive, that's a whole different ballgame, right? So I always try to, although they share the same ban list, we know they're 2 separate formats, right? So, but you get to play things like Rewind. No one plays that shit. It's a free counter if you have 4 mana open. So, Ripples of Potential. Proliferate, great. Then choose any number of permanents you control that had a counter on them. This way, those permanents phase out. Just protection, protecting our creatures. What else we have? Sink into upper. Okay, so like a land, or I probably just use this for just for the ability return target spell or non-land permanent to an opponent. Opponent controls to their hand. Great, that's good. Or I mean, if I need the land, normally I don't. Once the engine is going and I'm drawing off the top and I'm playing, you know what I mean? Like you won't necessarily need it as a land. I just don't want to put another like a strong counter spell in here, so I threw that one in here. Unwind, great. It's like the little sister to Rewind. Unwind. Counter target non-creature spell, but it's limited to non-creature spells. Untap 3 lands, so it's a free counter, right? Artifacts, cut, short, sweet. Eighth of Veil, this one's really cool. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a charge counter on Eighth of Veil. You can tap it and then bring a creature from your hand, depending on the amount of counters you have, for free. Love it. This one's my, I had to add this one. This one is great. Synergy wise, this is the deck for it, right? You may spend mana as though it were any mana of any color to activate abilities of creatures you control. Creatures you control will 1/1 counters on them, have all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with this card. Exile target card from a graveyard. When you do, put a 1/1 counter. Love it. This is a great card. I don't have to go into it. This is a good card in most decks, right? But definitely if you're running 1/1 counters, that type of game plan, this is the card you need. Signet, Soul Ring, Talisman, Thought Vessel. This one's cool. I'm gonna be drawing a lot of cards. I wanna make sure I don't dump all of them. But if I do, potentially I will get an 8/8 legendary octopus, right? With my other cards. So not bad, but this helps me retain some of the cards that I do draw. Right? Concordant, Crossroads, give everything haste. I'll give you creatures haste, no problem. I just wanna swing with my army of mermaids. Like, I just wanna just touch face, get it done, shuffle up, let's go.
A nigga gonna stand on business every time.
Deep Root Waters, I think this was a great card. Whenever you cast a Merfolk spell, create a 1/1 blue Merfolk creature token with hexproof. The hexproof is relevant. Love the hexproof. People forget your tokens have hexproof. Hardened Scale, obviously the Fallout version, straightforward. Another old card. At the beginning of your turn, untap all Merfolk you control. Mr. Gamora, Fishes, it's fitting, is blue, why not? Same thing, is blue, why not? Why not have more card draw? Simic Ascendancy. All right, so this is this, I guess it will be the third alternative win con. Play 1 and Simic, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Cool. Whenever one or more 1/1 counters are put on a creature you control, put that many growth counters on Simic Ascendancy. At the beginning of your turn, at the beginning of your upkeep, if this card has 20 or more growth counters, you win the game. Kind of dry, right? Put in the game on a clock. If it's going too long, just drop it. You know, a couple rotations with, depending on how your board state is, with a Hakbal and a couple Merfolks, that is very possible. I've won at least one time with that, so it's definitely there. I like to play it, make it a threat, make people try to attack me. I don't care. I just want them to attack so they can tap that creature so I can swing in afterwards of mine. So, 7 library. I do have a lot of great draw, plus more draw. I probably don't need all this draw, but I'm trying to win. And card advantage is the best thing you can do. And then we also have a win con with, depending if we have 20 cards in the hands or not. So that's when we want to get there fast. Ramp. Lands, cut and dry. Using my favorite Phyrexian 1 lands. Obviously forests, islands. Don't know why I have less islands than forests. I might have to revisit that, but it's been working, so maybe I don't have to. This one is cool. Threshold, sacrifice this card. Target player draw 3 cards, then discard 3 cards. Love it. Right? It feeds into that threshold, potentially getting an 8/8 legendary octopus, or you just got some trash in your hand. You need to dig deep a little bit, you know. Command Tower staple. Yada yada. I don't think there's anything here. Oh, this one's cool. Yeah, obviously, try to retain my hand size. You're gonna be doing a lot of drawing in this deck. So if you want to draw cards, like I said, if you want to draw cards, this is the deck for you. So this is Merfolk. Probably one of my decks that I enjoy to play. That is so much fun. A lot of card advantage, a lot of like board presence, a lot of protections for your creatures, and it's just a fun way to play Magic, right? I personally like to play with creature-based decks, combat-based decks. So anytime I can play some form of green deck, I will play it. And again, ramp heavy, card draw heavy, and just a battlefield like presence that is crazy. So if you like this video, if you want to see more deck text, please like, subscribe. If you haven't already, hit the notification button, and like always, God bless.
Kings, baby.